welcome back to the iCoach podcast. It's your host, Marvin Nash. I'm joined with a good buddy of mine, Jay Rose. He is the defensive coordinator and recruiting coordinator at Wylie East High School. Coach Rose, welcome, man.
How you doing, brother? Appreciate you having me on, my man.
Absolutely, man. I know we connected recently here through the recruiting circles, but just to kind of tell our audience a little bit about yourself, how did you get into coaching and what led you to Wylie East?
Yeah, man. So, long story short, GA for 2.5 years at Texas A&M Kingsville. Coach receivers there. Met my wife when I was back in Dallas. So I got out of the college thing, hopped into high school, got married, was at Ferris for a year, went to Nimitz where I graduated for 3. Mansfield job fell in my lap randomly. Was there for 6. And then my best friend, one of my best friends growing up, Marcus Gold, who was the head coach at White House for the last, 3, 4, 5 years, got the Wylie East job. And it just, the stars aligned. We've always wanted to work together and brought me over to East. And so that's where we're at now.
Man, that's a beautiful thing, man. I know a lot of coaches really want to reconnect with their old friends from, high school and who have taken that same career path, So that's a fantastic thing, man.
Yes, sir.
So tell me, how's it been? I know Mansfield to Wylie East is a big change.
Oh, man, it's been probably the best way I can describe it, man, is I'm driving 65. I'm still living in Mansfield.
Wow.
So I'm driving like 65, 70 miles a day to get there, which sounds like that would be terrible. But, man, I can't complain, dude. I cannot complain. Like, the kids are good. It's all there. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything you need to be successful is there. And so I'm just excited just to see what happens and how it all shakes out. And man, just it's kind of like one of those things, man, where you hear, be where your feet are. And that's what I've tried to do, and it's worked out, man. Now I'm working with one of my best friends, which has always been a goal, and kind of started a new chapter. So I'm excited. Still getting to know the kids, all that. And so still in the beginning stages of all that deal. And, but man, yeah, I'm excited. It's a good place.
Absolutely. But I guess the next question I have is just making that career move, after being in Mansfield for 6 years,
right,
and really liking what you do, in a weird time like the COVID times that we live in now, what made you make that decision? What made you say this is the right thing to do?
Man, I don't know if there's a right answer to that. I've never looked for a job. You know what I mean? Like I've never interviewed. I've never sent a resume. I've just really stuck to be where you are and to try to do a good job, and things will work out, and it's just kind of been a roller coaster. And I've ended up, I guess this is my 4th school, but like I said before, Coach Gold tried to get me out of Wylie East a couple times. We almost went once, but my wife was pregnant with our son at the time, and it's just like I couldn't take her out there, move her away from family out there to East Texas. And then, like I said, man, the stars just aligned. He got that Wylie East job, and here we are. I'll say this though, Mansfield for me, man, was the best thing that's ever happened to me. My coach, probably even beyond coaching, man, just as a man, coaching for Coach Mayberry. I don't know if you could know Coach Mayberry, his story. He passed away, but me and him, man, just learning from that cat and seeing a dude just care about kids like for real. You know what I'm saying? Like he just did it. He didn't talk about it. He just did it, and be able to sit back and watch a cat like that. Man, I got better as a dad, as a husband, as a coach. I mean, you name it, man. And so Mansfield, I know it sounds cliche, but Mansfield will always have a special place in my heart because I feel like that's where my coaching career, I had my son there. I had, you talked about Cam Jones earlier, just some different guys, and it's just, it will always be a place that's very special to me. And so, you know, it was tough to leave, but at the same time, it wasn't tough. Like it was just like, all right, let's go. Like it just felt right, and there was no hesitation. You know, uh, again, it was tough telling the kids and stuff like that, but it just the way the stars aligned, and it was like one of those things, man. Like you think about something for so long and what it may be like to coach with a buddy, start from scratch, see what you can build. All right, here it is. You know, jump on it. And so here we are, you know. So I'm blessed, brother. I really, really am, man. And so uh see what happens here in the next couple of years.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just you alluding to Coach Mayberry. I mean, I knew him uh, by friends of a friend. I never got to
Right.
meet Coach Mayberry personally, but everyone I've ever talked to had a very similar story to what you just said. How he was able to just change lives for his coaches and the kids that he coached.
Yeah.
Can you just maybe drop one of the best lessons that you may have learned from your years of working for Coach Mayberry?
So when Coach Mayberry got cancer, right? So I had first block off. And so we were block scheduled at Mansfield. So that's like almost an hour and a half. So me and him would get in there and we'd work out and we would hang out. So I got a lot of one-on-one time with that guy. And man, this cat would go get chemo during the morning or later in the day and would be back at work. He would walk around with the chemo bag. I've never seen anything like it. He was just how he handled that situation, you know. Got two little girls, you know, got a wife, uh, and going through something like that. And he never like, I'm sure he had his moments. I know he had his moments, but he was there and was open about it and would talk about it. And man, one of the biggest things that I got from him, he used to always say, you know, there's a difference between joy and happiness. Happiness is based off circumstances, and joy is there regardless of circumstances. And it's only found in God, you know. And man, to see a cat live that out, you know what I mean? Out there at practice, 100 degrees outside, this sucker's out there with a chemo bag, driving around, yelling at kids, and all right, I gotta leave. I gotta go get this chemo real quick, and then I'm coming back. And just, I'm telling you, man, it was. I was very, very blessed to be able to be in that room with him and see the process behind closed doors and how he handled that and didn't run from it. Like he addressed it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm man enough to handle it the way he did. And so he's missed, man. That cat, you know, he gave me an opportunity in Mansfield that he didn't have to. I'm just, you know, that's a guy that I will always try to emulate as much as I can, because he has so much. He was just genuine. That's the biggest thing, man. He was genuine. If he said something, like he really meant it. Right, wrong, or indifferent, you just knew. Coach Mayberry said it, he meant that, you know. And that went a long way with parents, and kids, and us coaches. Good dude, man.
Yeah.
Good. So
Yeah. Jay, I'll tell you this, man. Like, I think we all have kind of that experience, not necessarily with what you had with Coach Mayberry, but a coach that was just that example that leads by example in everything that they do.
Yeah.
And it becomes one of those things where you see how to be as a coach. You realize how important having meaningful, genuine relationships is in everything that you do. And man, that's just I mean, that he's just an inspiration now, just hearing your story, of your interactions with him.
Real deal. That cat right there is a real deal, man.
Absolutely.
He had it figured out. It's the best way I could put it.
Sir.
I was blessed to be under him for the time I was able to. Yes, sir.
Now, as transitioning there from the heart of the coach to the X's and O's of a coach, I know you had a really good defense in Mansfield. I know that because we played y'all back in 2015, and you knocked us out of the playoffs back then when I was at Geyer High School.
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about your defensive philosophy that you're going to be bringing to Wylie.
Man, so I'm in a good situation, man. Like initially at heart, I'm an offensive guy. I played receiver in college. I always coached receivers everywhere I've been until I got to Mansfield. Coach Stout, who's defense coordinator at Mansfield, man, kind of took me under his wing. Ended up really letting me flourish in that role of calling coverages and figuring out the back end. We're going to be running Coach Gold's defense there at that he had at Wylie at White House. You know, and I, you know, so I'm excited I'm going to learn from him a lot of it, you know. And so, you know, just being able to sit down with a guy that's been there, done that, been successful, you know, and he's 35. And that's another thing that I'm excited about being there, man. It's just, you know, I'm not only am I getting to coach with the guy that I've known since I was 7, right? Play on the same little league, dad's coached us, all that good stuff. But this dude is like a proven product. Like whatever he's been selling out there in East Texas has worked. You know what I'm saying? And so to be able to be in a room with a guy and feel comfortable, like I don't have to beat around the bush with him to fill him out, like, and he don't have to be around the bush with me, and so we can just get to it. You know what I'm saying? Like that has been refreshing for me. That has been really refreshing for me. You know, I'll throw some ideas out there sometimes, like, no, we're not doing that. You know what I mean? And so, and then explain why, and then sometimes, you know, other things like, yeah, no, I like that. We'll add that to what we're doing. And so, man, just learning, man. Like I have learned more football in the last. I got there full time about a month ago, and I've learned more football in a month than I have in 12, 13 years I've been coaching. Like I really have, just film and how to like really, like he's kind of taking me through his process, and just kind of having a guy there that I trust, who's been there, been a DC, now has been in his second head coaching job, you know. It's just a blessing, man. You know, he didn't have to, I don't have no DC experience. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have, there's a lot of other cats out there that he could go get that on paper, you know, for sure know what they're doing, know their X's and O's, whatever, better than I do. But, you know, just the fact that he would, hey, dude, I want you to come in. I'm going to teach you my stuff. I want you to make it yours, man. It's been like I said, man, just a breath of fresh air for me. Taking little nitbits I learned from Coach Stout over here at Mansfield, some things that when I was at Nimitz, some things when I was at Ferris. And so just I'm excited for the football season to get here and see how it all comes together.
Absolutely.
It's a good deal.
Yes, that's definitely a blessing to have a childhood friend who says, you know what, I trust you. So
yeah, man,
let's work together.
Yeah.
I trust you on this. That's huge. That's huge, Jay.
Yes, sir.
Now, the next question I have for you, because you mentioned, you know, you're 35, you've been coaching 12, 13 years now. You're no longer the young coach. Yeah, you're kind of over the hill. Yeah, you got a sunroof in the fade right now, so
yes, sir.
You're getting over the hill a little bit.
I'm telling you.
Tell me what's the best bit of advice that you would give to a first-year coach that's entering the profession of Texas high school football?
Do the inconvenient thing consistently. Do the inconvenient thing consistently.
That's huge.
And you think about that, I mean, that covers everything. If it's something that you need to do and your first reaction is, do it. Because that's going to set you apart from the other cat who ain't going to do it. That's why it's inconvenient. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you could be a recruiting coordinator, be a freaking recruiting coordinator. Like, to me, that is one of the most important jobs that you can be as a high school football coach. Like, you look on like my Twitter, it says recruiting first before co-DC or whatever, because I truly believe, man, that is such a privilege to be a part of. Like, you get to be a part of something that families remember. And I mean, it's just, you know, so that would be my thing. If you could be a recruiting coordinator, be it, and do the inconvenient thing for kids. You know, I see a lot of young guys that just complain about kids. You know, such Joe, he's lazy, he's this. And I was the same way, you know. But through the process over the years, I've learned, like, man, I truly believe this, man. Like, you got to earn the right to complain about some kids. Like, what are you doing as a coach? You're the coach. Mm-hmm. Just going to complain about them. And these are conversations that I've had with myself. You know, I constantly have like this, I think, this voice in my head where, I mean, who do you talk to the most during the day? It's yourself, right? Mm-hmm. At least for me, walking through the day, it's like this constant back and forth with myself about things, right? And constantly I'm like checking myself on things. Like I'll say, do something, I don't know if that was the right way to handle that, or, you know, so just constantly listen to that voice, you know what I mean? And do the inconvenient thing. You got to earn the right to complain about kids, man. Otherwise, what are you doing? You're just in the office complaining. You know, I got another word for it, but I'm not gonna say it on your podcast. You know what I mean? No, everybody wants to be so, like, you were 16 at one point. Mm-hmm. Like, I see that a lot, and maybe I don't know. I think, like, when you break it down with these kids, man, Coach, could you imagine having Facebook and social media when you were in high school?
I'm so thankful I did not.
You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes as coaches, man, we get side of like reality sometimes. Like, dude, put yourself back in those shoes. Like, I don't know where I would be if I had Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram. Like, that's a lot of clicking. One click, you ruin your life. One that's click, it. Boom, done. Mm-hmm. Everybody can see. You can't take it back. Like, I didn't have a cell phone in high school. Mm-hmm. Saying, so I was a senior, and I think we lose that sometimes. Like, this is a different, like, these kids are going through so much more. There's so much more out there for them to get caught up in than when we were there in their shoes. I just think it's important, man, to always try to, like, put yourself back in their shoes. Mm-hmm. If I was 16 again, would I handle it that way? And I think that'll change how you approach the situation too, you know? But I think a lot of times we just, and when I say we, I'm talking about myself. Like, these are things that I've learned, that I've done and have learned from in the past. Just resting the judgment on kids, writing kids off. He's just that or whatever. Well, why is he that? You know, and that's another thing I've learned. Like, if a kid's a jerk, there's usually a reason. If you can find that reason, you won the kid. Like, it's really not a complicated math equation. It's 2 + 2 is 4, and that's what it is. And I think sometimes us as adults, we get in the way of that. I have. When I say we, I'm talking about me. These are, like I said, I'm not trying to say I got it all figured out by any means.
Right.
Things that I've, learned from mistakes, so that's kind of how I feel about that. But
I'm with you on that. I think it's a learning experience for the teachers and the students, man. Because I had a coach that I worked for, Scott Smith. He coached at Baylor, 2 stints at Baylor, Houston Baptist. He's currently at Legacy Christian Academy. And when coaching with him, I was just like, man, like, kids these days are different. He stopped me right there. He said, nope. Kids are exactly the same. The kids ain't changed. It's the adults that have changed. The adults are the leaders. And when you stop being a leader, that's when you're going to lose every kid that you come across. And I've never forgotten that, man. It's just keep your expectations what they are for the kids, and they'll rise to the
Absolutely.
bar.
Absolutely, man. Mm-hmm. Kids want structure at the end of the day. Like, they want, but you got to earn it. Like, sometimes, and I've been guilty of this too. Like, I'm the coach, you're the player. Mm-hmm. They jump, you jump. You know what I mean? No, like that.
That's right.
Like, you really, like, that is a true statement. You got to earn respect. That is true. I don't care how old you are. Mm-hmm. And I think showing that you care and you're willing to do those inconvenient things consistently for them, and that goes a long way with the kids. And kids see that. Kids can read through more than what we think. Like, they know what's going on.
Absolutely. And they're a lot smarter than we give them credit for. Without
no doubt. No doubt.
Now, Jay, I have one more question for you.
Yes,
This
sir.
is a pretty good one. All right, this is getting to know Coach Rose off the field.
Okay.
Most of us coaches, we eat, breathe, sleep football. But I've alluded to an earlier podcast how I'm a Marvel nerd. Like I've watched
Hmm.
every Marvel movie multiple times, got the series, watched the
Right.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision, you name it, I'm in it. And so
Right.
that's kind of my identity outside of football. I'm a big nerd. That's what I am. For Coach
Right.
Rose, who is Coach Rose if you take football away? What do you do on the side?
Oh man. Well, now it's hang out with little man. You know,
Hmm.
like that's it. Like if I'm not, and I like to golf.
Okay.
Hang
Okay.
out with my wife and little man and golf.
There
You
you
know,
go.
but yeah, dude, my son, man, like dad has, and you, I mean, how old's your son?
Oh man, my son is 15, about to be 16,
15.
have a 10-year-old
Ooh,
about to be 11. So yeah,
yes, sir.
I'm
Yes,
right
sir.
there
So
in
you know what
it.
I'm saying, man? Like
Uh-huh.
little you running around, dude. That is like I love what I do, but that will never take over me and him. And like it's always gonna be how does this affect him?
Hmm.
You know what
Hmm.
I mean? And so that's it. You know, me traveling to Wylie has uh, even made that more clear to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't see him during the week like I wish I could. Because I'm,
Hmm.
you know, when I leave, he's asleep. When I get home, he's going to bed.
Hmm.
So, yeah, man. If you want to find me outside of football now, be with Jet.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know what I mean? I mean, whatever that looks like, me and him are going to be hanging out. So,
And I can tell you this: the older they get, the more fun it gets. It only gets better.
yeah,
Every day is the best day of that
yeah,
relationship because
man.
it only gets better.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Well, Coach Rose, I lied. I got one more thing for you here.
All right.
So if you were to sum up in 3 words, I'm gonna give you a tough one now. In three
Okay.
words, you as a coach, you as a father, you as a husband, you as a man in general, what were the 3 words you would use to describe you?
Ooh, that is a tough one. 3 words. Um, I would say humble. I would say appreciative, and I would say genuine. Appreciative and genuine.
I like that. I like that. And that's really, man, that's three of one of the more important aspects of being a good coach and a good human being in general. Being humble, being appreciative of what you have, and just being a genuine dude. And you've been a genuine dude since day one, since the day I met you, man.
Trying,
Yes,
trying.
sir. Well, Jay, I appreciate the time that you took with me, Coach. Sharing a little bit about your story, a little bit about what inspires you to coach. And man, I think you got a winner right here. This is a great podcast, and Wylie East just got a lot better by bringing you along.
Well, man, I appreciate you letting me on here. And before we get off, man, I got to tell you, man, what you're doing with this, man, is not a little thing. Um, I've been keeping up with it since the little chat started. I got involved in that deal, and so like this is big time, dude. So keep
Thanks, man.
doing, brother. Like giving, it's big time. It's not a little thing. And man, I'm humbled and appreciative that I got to be. I really am. I'm over here looking at who you've interviewed, man. It is a really, really cool thing you're doing. Um, and I guess before we get off here, I gotta leave you with this. I was thinking about this earlier. I'm
Hmm.
sure I got this point across. With everything that's going on in the world right now, right? A lot of division, uh, just a lot of things going on, right? And as a dad, man, that scares me. You know, like what's his place gonna look like when my son, my 2.5-year-old son Jet, is able to be in that, right? um, and being a part of that, the group chat, seeing the things you're doing, just seeing all these guys that I hadn't really met, just talk about these kids and seeing the background of what goes on in the recruiting process that these guys are doing, just proves to me what I truly believe, man, that there's more of us than there are of them. And when I say them, I'm talking about, just people that ain't out there trying to help others and put their best foot forward. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So man, that group chat, man, has been such a blessing for me. Getting to know you guys, stuff like this, man. I'm blown away, man. There's more of us than there are of them, man, and it's encouraging. I appreciate what you do, brother. Keep killing it. And again, man, I appreciate you letting me be a part, dude. It's awesome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, and man, yeah, I can't reiterate that enough. There are much more of us than they are of the divisive group out there that's tearing people down. Like, and you, myself, and really everyone that shares that same mindset. Let's just keep building everybody up, man, because positivity will overcome the negative. Always does.
No doubt. Yes, sir.
Well, Coach Rose, in case I have followers or listeners that want to connect with you, want to see some of the brilliant things that you're doing with your social media as far as helping with recruiting and promoting your program, go ahead and drop your Twitter handle for us.
Yeah, it's Coach J Rose. Mm-hmm. Simple, JAYROSE. And yeah, so that'd be another thing I tell coaches, young coaches, you better have a freaking Twitter.
That's where the magic happens, man. Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Coach Rose. And man, this has been another just fantastic episode. Thanks to you of the iCoach podcast.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you.